By the end of this video, you will see 3 different stocks that you need to invest in today. How's it going, world? Michael EJ here, helping you reach your financial goals and dreams by becoming the best investor you can be. If you're new to the channel, what's up? Name's Michael EJ, mainly talking about how to build wealth through the stock market, and more so, how to think differently than the market. My mantra is, if you want to beat the market, you gotta think differently than the market. So if you want to learn some differentiated advice, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and let's get started. So, a lot of things have gone on in the market, a little wild, a little crazy. Gotta get back to basics, gotta be more disciplined. I'll admit, I did lose a little bit of discipline with some of my previous picks, but we're back to basics, we're going back in. It's all good. And we're gonna start off with a name that really excites me and a name I might hold for longer than usual. And that is Cognizant Technologies, ticker CTSH. About $49 billion market cap. And they're in IT consulting. If you go back to some of my older videos, I did a video on Accenture and loved their concept, IT consulting. I'm selling out that name and entering to a new name that actually excites me even more. I'm actually more excited for it. So for people who don't know, Cognizant Technologies, mainly business processing, some marketing research, market research, IFT, back office infrastructure matters, mainly help with that. And consulting in technology space will always be relevant. What makes Cognizant more exciting to me, however, is that their intangible assets are ideas. That's what it really is. It's ideas, turn those ideas, big picture ideas, into concepts, into solving problems. Consulting is all about solving problems on a big, wide scale. And Cognizant Technologies have figured it out, mainly with their customer base, financial services, healthcare, and manufacturing, and they're helping them solve the big technology problems, answering those questions. For example, around artificial intelligence. I just made a video about how artificial intelligence is going to kind of change the game and pick some stocks just related to that. But they're doing consulting for that, consulting for machine learning, consulting for the blockchain, all these little different areas where there's a lot of excitement and hype about, and Cognizant Technologies are connected to it. These are major themes, and I am all about the themes. So, I mean, this is really exciting, and it's actually led to a pickup in revenue for them. They've actually picked up revenue lately, so we see where that goes. Also, I'm not the only one who thinks this. A lot of money's flowing into the stock, good money, and has been doing so, on a consistent basis for the past couple of quarters, which is really exciting for me. Because it's one thing for me to think a stock is good, it's something totally different if I'm not the only one who recognizes this. So that's a good indicator for me. And to be honest, I see a lot of upside, like 50 to 70%. And here's why. First and foremost, good returns on invested capital, good ROC. I mean, this company's really pumping things out, which is expected for a company that doesn't really have that many hard assets. I mean, their intangible assets are ideas and people and relationships. So that's not like hard to expect. I mean, that's expected. That's not hard to imagine. But companies also safer than you think. They pay a dividend as well, and they're trading at 25 times earnings. This company shouldn't be trading at 25 times earnings. It should be 30, 35, 40. Easily in this market, in today's market, this company needs to get more love. So not only do I see a lot of upside, but I also see the potential for me holding this stock for a very long time. And a long time for me is really over a year, but this stock has potential for me. All right, next on the list, MKS Instruments, ticker MKSI, about a $6 billion market cap. So back into the mid-cap space, which I love the most. And they're actually an advanced solutions company, finding advanced solutions for manufacturers, manufacturing processes, mainly for semiconductors, but also in the healthcare and for energy generation companies. So, they're connected to a couple of things, especially the energy generation. I find that to be really interesting, but I'm from Texas, energy is everything here, so that might be part of it. But regardless, they just had a major major merger. They just acquired a company that was growing at a good clip, and they required them, and that led to groundbreaking record performance. So when you initially look at the numbers, things look amazing. This is why also you have to be careful doing trend analysis, because you're like, oh, this company just broke out and just all of a sudden went up 100%. Well, organic revenue growth might have maybe been 5, 6, 7%. Maybe. And yeah, it led to more technology, led to more intellectual capital, led to more intellectual property, which is why I'm a real fan of that. That's the next frontier for, especially for a company that's their thing. Intellectual property is their thing. So the merger really helps with that, but it also kind of spooks me. Also spooks me a little bit. I mean, I was very conservative in projecting out earnings for this company, only for a couple of years. Projecting out low growth, like not a lot of growth, even some margin compression. Like, I am usually skeptical of any M&A integration. Mergers historically, notoriously go wrong. They always do. People pay a bad price, all of these sorts. But this one I kind of have some faith in, because even with conservative estimates, still see 20 to 30% upside. I still see it there. Companies about fairly valued now. They are trading at 18 times earnings, which could potentially go up, maybe 20, 21 times pretty soon in the next couple of months. And I actually think there's an asterisk there. I actually think the company can do better. It really just depends on how much management is willing to reward shareholders, because they've done so in the past with buyback programs and increasing dividends. I also think that might have been just because the company was just cheaper and they weren't worth as much as they. I mean, this was happening when they were only barely made to the mid-cap space, worth $2-3 billion. So maybe if they returned to those days where the payout ratio was just higher, maybe things will be better. And I think that's a lot of the potential for MKSI. Just, are you going to reward shareholders a little bit more? Because the growth isn't like spectacular. Returns on capital is good, don't get me wrong, but the growth isn't spectacular. So, hey, get the reward in the shareholders, and I might even stay in longer than 20, 30%. All right, last on the list, Skywotks Solutions, ticker SWKS. Skywotks really excites me. I'll say this from the beginning, it really excites me. And they are a wireless device semiconductor, about $20 billion market cap. Just on the edge, right in the space I like to play in. And what really excites me about the company is that they're similar to Micron, I will say that, but different, very different. I pitched Micron before, checked that out in the card, but what makes me more interested in Skywotks here is that they have a much wider customer base than Micron, much wider. And I'm talking not just Apple, I'm also talking HTC, Samsung, Amazon, LG. I mean, you name it, anything where electronics is applied, applications, they're there with their chips, which are lighter and use less energy than the standard chip for the semiconductor space. They also have an Asia focus. Most of their sales actually come from Asia, and that makes sense as most of those chips and most of those appliances and most of those electronics are made in Asia. So kind of a focus there. And they also focus a little bit more on some Asian companies as well. So you kind of get that benefit of international growth, mainly in the Asia area here, kind of diversification away from the United States, which is pretty nice. Other places are growing faster than the US, so I'm always paying attention to that. Also, just as I mentioned before, their connection to the Internet of Things, one of the major themes that are out there long-term in the market. Now, when we talk about wireless devices, we're mainly talking about your cell phone and maybe a tablet, maybe your laptop. But you also got to consider your washer and dryer and your refrigerator. Maybe even a TV, maybe, I don't know, maybe the car itself, driving your car. I mean, maybe your sink, even your sink can have some technology. Home security. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities with the Internet of Things. And this company's at the forefront of trying to jump ahead in that space. I mean, it's a lot of stuff out there. I will say, this is a very competitive market. I mean, yeah, money's been entering into this stock, but it is competitive. I've talked about Micron before. There's other names, especially in China, in Asia, which we don't know about, we know very little about, so a lot of competition. So I am kind of limiting the growth on this name that's expected. But with that said, I still expect 40 to 60% upside in this company, possibly a long-term hold for at least a year. And here's why. They reward shareholders. I'm always looking for companies that reward shareholders, both in buybacks and dividends. I also have really, really good returns on invested capital. I've noticed it's something about this semiconductor space that number just does well. And I'm not sure why, it's just the way the economics play out. But I mean, this is another company with amazing returns on invested capital and trading to me at a justified multiple, maybe even undervalued, because they're trading at 18 times earnings. Once again, I don't know how this is happening. I saw this with other picks, and I think it's because I focus more on quality versus growth. I mean, in a lot of my valuation process, which I'm going to do a video on pretty soon, and you'll see a lot of it's focused on the quality of the company and not so much on the growth. And I've talked about that and how to justify a valuation multiple. But it's another one where the growth isn't spectacular, I'll admit, but it's good, it's decent, it's better than market average. That's all I can ask for. So, hey, this is a stock you definitely keep an eye on and buy immediately. And that's what I have for y'all today. Guys, believe it or not, even though the stock market has just ran up, there are still opportunities out there. Still some really good names you need to be paying attention to. And I mean, I think the market can continue to go up, maybe for the next couple of months, for the next year or so. So while the times are still good, make sure to get into the market, make sure to get into these names. Michael EJ here, helping you reach your financial goals and dreams by becoming the best investor you can be. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.